It's a real honor to be here. I never imagined I'd be speaking at an international conference when I accepted the role with U.S. Chess. Just a little bit about me. I'm the executive director for U.S. Chess. And one of the reasons I'm here and not Jennifer Shahadi, our women's program director, is that Jen was not available to come. So, you know, I hope I can do what our committee and what Jen has been leading some justice this morning in talking about some survey results that we've collected from what we call girls' club rooms at national events and some smaller regional events around the country. And we're doing this to not only inform ourselves about what kinds of programs might be appropriate for girls, but to try to better understand why there is this disparity between girls' participation and that of their male counterparts. Before I get into describing the survey results, though, I wanted to share a video that was filmed last year at the All-Girls National Chess Tournament that the Kasparov Chess Foundation runs every year. And this has widely been circulated on the internet and because it premiered in the New Yorker last year, but for those who haven't seen it, I think this gives you a flavor of why we're doing what we're doing, because the girls in their own words are telling us some stuff that we as the adults in the room need to be listening to.
To be a good chess player, you need to have confidence and faith in yourself that you can win a game or so.
Not being a sore loser, and just be smart. A girl that likes to play chess is open to possibilities.
She's motivated, has to want to fight.
All players, you may start White's clock.
You can't be one of the squirmy kids. You have to actually focus. Not be scared or afraid of what's gonna happen.
If there's one thing every girl needs to have, it's determination, and if something goes wrong, they don't give up.
I think chess is going to benefit me later in life because you become more aware.
Chess is like life to me. Yeah, this.
I came a long way. First, I was anxious. I didn't really know how to move the pieces or whatever. I think chess is amazing. Like, it gives you a second chance.
In my grade, I am the only girl that plays chess. So.
I only know about like 2 or 3 girls, including myself, and about like 50 boys.
A lot of girls are intimidated because they're not playing against the same gender.
More boys play chess than girls because the really good grandmasters were like boys, so they may be like nervous and then they already feel like they lost. It's funny because I usually play boys, but every single time I get really nervous for some reason.
I think girls are very intimidated by the number of boys. I am sometimes.
They're like whispering, oh look, I'm gonna beat her. But then when I beat them, they look totally crushed and they're like, how could I lose? How could I lose to a girl?
It would just show me how he didn't really have much respect for his opponent.
To get girls into chess, we can send a message showing them that girls are equal. If I'm the only one, I'm like, hey, where did all the girls go?
And now I'm at this huge girls' nationals.
It's a unisex game. It's not only for one gender. You know what I mean?
There's no whispering that you're gonna lose because you're a girl, because we're all girls.
I actually get to play girls that I didn't even know, and I get to make new friends with them.
Other girls at my school definitely look up to me because I play something that's unique or different than what usually girls play.
When I win, it's like, wow, I got this right in the bag.
You're surrounded by, I don't know how many girls are here, but you know that you're not alone. Or you know that there's way more than just you.
So I want to give a huge shout out to Jenny Schweitzer, who is a chess parent. She has 2 daughters, one of whom continues to play chess. She's a youngster. And she came to us, she's an independent filmmaker, with this idea of doing something about girls in chess, profiling them. And I think this certainly reflects back some of the things that April has observed, and certainly what we've heard from the girls themselves in the surveys we've done in our girls club room, which I'll start to talk about now. So the U.S. Chess Women's Committee and has been working to collect some information from girls and their parents since December of 2015. And the survey data that I'm going to report on today is actually more recent data, because I wanted to tie the data to the actual events where it was collected so we could better understand the age distribution of the girls who are coming to the girls club rooms. We actually have probably 1,500 surveys that have been completed, but this data reflects only about 350 of that because we wanted to better track where the data had come from. And we're working on refining the survey collection tool because we've learned some things along the way. And I think there's 2 reasons we're continuing to do this. One, U.S. Chess has a girl problem, a female problem. We only have 14% of our almost 100,000 members that are women or girls. That's just remarkable to me in this day and age. So disparity in membership. And 2, we want to learn so that we can develop programs that are fitting for girls and women as they age through their competitive play and perhaps non-competitive activities as well. So a little bit about U.S. Chess's membership. We are heavily skewed toward younger people in our federation. 80% of the females that are members are 18 or below in age. That is just remarkable. We have a lot of strength in our scholastic players among females, but at about age 11, they discover other things and leave us. It's similar for boys, not as bad. 18 and below, about 54% are male. And there's more distribution, better distribution among the men as we age through. But there's good news too in this. Our membership has doubled, our female membership has doubled over the last 19 years. And so we're up to 14.4%. And I wish I could issue a challenge to get us to 20% in 2020, because I think that is a tall order that is probably not achievable, sadly. It's just, everybody in this room knows what a tough sell it is, especially the sustained involvement of female players. So I don't expect you to be able to read this up there, but this is the survey that we've been doing in the girls' club rooms. Because we're dealing with minors, we're getting parental consent before a girl can actually complete a survey. And then they can optionally give us their name and ID so we can start to look more broadly at the relationship between the girl and her rating and the like. So just like the video, Out of the Mouths of Babes, when asked how long she had been playing, one of the girls told us, a 10-year-old told us, she started playing professionally when she was in 2nd grade. And so they have a very good feeling about playing the game. I think that would illustrate. As for chess goals, one girl wants to be world champion. And another girl told us she didn't want a blender. I think she meant blunder. What they like best, and again, this is some really, I think, important insight. If you lose one day, the next day it might be your turn to win. That's, I don't know whether an adult told her that or gave her that perspective, but I think it's a really important lesson that chess players learn, that you don't win every game, and having that reflected back is certainly gratifying. And another girl told us she likes the team, and that's the kind of answer I would expect from primary school grade children. What they don't like to lose, and they don't like people screaming at them. And I think that's a lesson for the adults in the room as much as anything. Unfortunately, I've seen that, whether it's a parent or a coach, taking a kid down after they lost a game is just not the way you foster retention. And I know that the adult probably doesn't mean anything in doing that. It's their own reaction and ego caught up in what they're doing, but it's damaging, and it probably causes kids to leave the game. One 10-year-old told us that she didn't like that girls had different statuses, different titles than the males. So again, April referenced the question about the different titling systems. You know, I think that's a important question for the chess community. And then a 14-year-old told us that she didn't like to be underestimated because she was a girl. And I think you saw some of that sentiment in the video that I shared. So this particular data reflects what we're seeing in our membership more broadly, is that the Girls Club participation peaks at age 10, and we in US Chess see a precipitous drop-off in our membership at age 11 for girls. Actually, we start to see the drop-off for boys as well, but it's much more pronounced for girls. And one of the follow-on questions we're going to be studying is whether girls and boys leave the game at the same rate at about the same age, because we don't really know until we dig into the data. And I want to venture a guess that we have high attrition in both. The reason it seems more pronounced in the girls is that there's a lot fewer to start with. In terms of the strength of player that comes to the Girls Club room, you'll see from this graph that they tend to be less accomplished players. And so it's skewed to the left side of the view graph here. I think what's important is when you layer on the ratings distribution with their age, and I know this is probably pretty small for you to read, the burgundy and the dark gray or black are the colors that are either unrated or up to a rating of 499. And again, they represent a pretty significant number of the participants of the Girls Club room, whereas the Navy, where you could see at age 17 and age 13 are our strongest players, and they're not coming to the Girls Club room. They're coming because they're coming to tournaments to play chess and maybe not to have a broader experience than some of the other girls who are maybe not as accomplished. So why do girls like chess? And this one surprised me. They like to win. So I think it echoes what April's observation earlier was, is that girls aren't any less competitive than boys. Girls want to win. But they also like the intellectual challenge and learning strategy and tactics. But they want to have fun, and they want to be with their friends. And they like going to tournaments. They like to travel. You know, there's lots of reasons girls like chess. But make no mistake, they want to win. So there's really nothing scientific about this graph. I'd be foolish to suggest otherwise. But when I looked at the data from these 350 or so surveys, there seemed to be a pretty clear breakdown between different dimensions of your humanity, the emotional, the social, and the cognitive. And I was really expecting the social benefits to girls to be the dominant dimension that motivated them to play, and I was wrong. They want to win. So my assumptions about what motivated them was wrong, and the social is certainly an important reason as well, but make no mistake, they like the challenge of the game. Well, what do girls dislike about chess? Anyone want to venture a guess what it is they dislike most about the game? Losing, exactly. And 73% of the reasons that they gave were emotional. And they're competitive, and they told us that time and again when we asked it in different ways on this survey. And the social and cognitive reasons were very close, but they don't want to lose. And I think, again, April's observation as an educator is absolutely spot on. And as she was talking, I was reflecting about my own sort of set of choices as I've gone on through life and things that I walked away from because I wasn't initially successful. And I think that's a really important talking point you had there. And so what's next? I already mentioned we're going to be refining our survey instrument. We are in the early discussion stages of a collaboration with 2 research universities. One thing that we have been very fortunate is that U.S. Chess received a grant from the St. Louis Chess Club to support women and girls programs. And more than 50% of that money has been invested in 11 programs in 9 states across the country to support girls and women's programming. And some of the data that's being collected through those programs, and hopefully successive programs that we might be able to get funded, will be used to look at some of the trends over time. So we're hoping to be able to sustain our studies of girls' involvement in the game. Of course, this is all about money and our ability to raise the money to support programs, but we're optimistic that we can do so, and we hope to have another round of grant funding next year. Another thing that we've been investing in is regional events throughout the country. So we have the All-Girls National event, which is run by the Kasparov Chess Foundation, attracts about 400, 500 girls, depending on the year. And then a series of state-level events, certainly a lot of local events like the big event in New York City that just happened a weekend or 2 ago for girls. But we're trying to pool resources and make regional events available. So it might be 2 or 3 states that band together to invite a larger pool of girls. And we heard from the girls in the video how important, or how well supported they feel when they're playing in an all-girls event. And I think those are really important to continue to give the girls a sense that there is belonging. And of course, we'll continue to have our girls club events at our national events and regional events where volunteers from our women's program can get out and set up a table and give away swag. So I'm going to stop here and be happy to answer questions now or later if there's an opportunity to do so. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, perhaps we have time for just 2 questions to Carol. Anybody like to ask a question?
Yeah.
I think if you could sort of pass this over. If you could say your affiliation as well.
I'm currently freelance researcher. I'm interested, was there a Caruana effect after?
On girls? Certainly in the lead up to last year's World Championship, we tried to stir some hype up. We had at our national events, we took a picture at the start of each day 1 of the tournament of all the kids in the playing hall, and then quickly turned around a poster-sized set of cards where the kids signed. I don't know that there's been a lasting Caruana effect, if you will. We're very fortunate to have a number of strong top players who, provide inspiration to these young players, and we certainly have that on the women's side as well. I think, though, there's a fair bit of isolation from the top of the top to the kids who play in scholastic tournaments. And I don't know that we've seen a real bump in membership. We have been just under 100,000 members for 4 or 5 years now. Not, inching up, but nothing, no Fisher boom like we had in the 60s and 70s.
Another question here from Tim Wall.
Hi, Tim.
So, Carol, you're being very polite about how we're doing in England about recruiting women and girls into chess. But perhaps you could offer some advice. Federations which have a lower participation rate than you are currently having.
So,
Countries like France. What are the main things that we should do?
yeah, so I think you have to proceed with intent. And I think, as Maureen reminded me yesterday, that you have to start small, and you have to start somewhere, and you have to sustain it. And I think where we are 4 years after we started is the benefit of 4 years of investment of time and a lot of volunteer effort and all. And, maybe start with a couple of all-girls events and see what kind of results you get, or have girls sections. I know that may be taboo, but maybe girls sections where they get a trophy or some kind of recognition. Recognition is important, and it comes in a lot of different forms. One of the other things that was started before I came on board was the creation of a top 100 list for girls at different age groups. So we have, overall lists, and there's girls on the overall lists, but on the top 100 all-girls lists for, you can have your name on a top 100 list, and any other U.S. women over 50 in the room, if you're an active player and have a rating, there's room to fill on the list. So we can't fill it with 100 people because we don't have that many active players. So I don't know whether that's helpful, Tim, but I'm happy to talk offline about some other ideas. And there's some people in the room, Sophia and Maureen and Kimberly, who are sort of working in the trenches to make these things happen and probably have a lot more to offer than I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.